What is up there, everybody? Sea of Red Sports here with another preview and predictions for the Penn State Nebraska game. This will be an 11 a.m. Central Time game hosted by the University of Nebraska in Memorial Stadium. Tom Osborne Field will be hosting Penn State. The Nitty Lions travel to Lincoln to take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Now, 10 years ago, this would have been a big game. This would have been a top 25 matchup in all likelihood. And some of the Penn State-Nebraska games have been very significant, such as the 2011 game, where that was right a few days after the Jerry Sandusky thing was found out, and Penn State's season fell off the rails, starting with that Nebraska game. It was a fairly significant game because of that. Nebraska won. It was a good football game, though, but you can tell the Penn State players were very... they were distracted. So, we come into 2020, and a lot has changed for both teams. And now, as strange as it is, these teams come into this game in Lincoln winless. And I'm recording this on Friday night. I'll put it up for you guys to watch. Hopefully you can see my predictions. This should be up Friday night sometime. And you'll see that... both these teams have looked really bad this season. Well, Penn State has looked uncharacteristically bad, and Nebraska, they do look better than last season, but still are winless. I think not playing that Wisconsin game really did affect us. Now, I'm going to be obviously viewing this as a Husker fan. Penn State, they've got some issues, but Penn State is still very talented, and they've got a lot of four-star talent, more than Nebraska does. I don't think they have any 5 stars. Like maybe Michael Parsons was a 5-star, but he certainly is like a 5-star now. Probably going to be first round draft pick. Although him opting out of the season might have really hurt his chances, or maybe just he can advertise it. Hey, look, when I was playing, our team was so much better than it is now. Hopefully, 2020 is just a blip in the radar for Penn State, and they return to form next year. But we won't know till next year. This team has just looked really bad. This Penn State team. Defensively, they've regressed quite a bit. They just have guys who are missing tackles. It's very clear they haven't practiced very much, and they are definitely one of the teams that's fallen victim to the 2020 situation. Sean Clifford is making a lot of bad throws, bad reads. He's turning the ball over quite a lot, particularly in the secondary, which ironically is Nebraska's strength this year on defense, or was going to be, and it's been good, but what's really been surprising is Nebraska's front seven has really stepped up a lot more than what we expected them to, and Nebraska has essentially stopped the run for both Ohio State and Northwestern, which is pretty impressive, and that Northwestern defense is probably better than this Penn State defense that we're going to be seeing, so Nebraska is going to be able to move the ball, and we're going to be able to stop them, because they have made a lot of mistakes on defense. They don't really have too much in the way of running back. They're also really questionable wide receiver. There have been a couple of guys who have been standout, but other than those two guys, it's really been a lot of questionability. So, the keys of the game for Nebraska, defensively, will be to, number one, pressure Sean Clifford as much as possible, blitz him, bring him as much pressure as possible, make those inerrant throws, which can give our secondaries chances to pick off the ball. If that happens, I think we'll get several picks. And then, obviously, our secondary needs to do a good job as well. Not give up the big plays. Make them be honest about it. Let's see what happens there. On offense, what we need to do is we need to not make as many mistakes. And this will get into my predictions. I have 2 predictions, depending on which quarterback starts. And we need to make less mistakes. And because this is a talented defense, although they probably aren't going to be as sound as Northwestern. Because as I've mentioned before, Northwestern plays a fairly solid, simple form of defense that you basically have to outplay them. You have to be more physical, better than they are to beat them. And a lot of teams struggle with that because a lot of teams make mistakes, particularly in this current 2020 era, which is a weird year. So, Penn State's defense really isn't quite as good. They're more talented, but they run a more complicated scheme, which is more difficult to learn. So, Nebraska, if they really want to win the game, they need to dominate the run and Adrian or Luke needs to make a lot less mistakes. So, with that being said, I need to give my predictions. And I have 2 predictions. 1, if Adrian Martinez starts. 2, if Luke McCaffrey starts or plays a good portion or most of the game. So, Adrian is not as good of a quarterback as Luke. I think at this point, it's kind of fairly obvious. Luke is actually completing more of his passes. He seems to be an even more dangerous runner than Adrian, and he doesn't make quite as many mistakes. And the mistakes he does make, you can chalk it up to him being a freshman this year. Versus Adrian, he's a junior. This is his 3rd year starting as a quarterback at the University of Nebraska. He shouldn't be making all these inerrant throws, giving the ball essentially to the defenders. He just makes too many mistakes. Put in Luke, have him start, and I think we win this game. If Adrian starts, I think we probably lose another heartbreaker, a lot like the Northwestern game where we really dominated the game statistically, but in every other way we didn't really dominate the game. I think if Adrian starts, we lose 28-21. Another heartbreaking loss if that's the case. But if Luke starts the game, or he starts for a good portion of the game, say 3 quarters, I think not only does Nebraska win, but we win in spectacular fashion. Luke McCaffrey plays in somewhat of a similar fashion to Tua's younger brother, who they saw last week with Maryland and it got smoked 35-19. I think Nebraska will do a similar thing, but we do actually have a kicking game, so I do think that with our LSU transfer kicker, we'll be able to actually get some field goals. But we need to go for touchdowns, not settle for threes necessarily. That's partly what killed us in the last game against Northwestern. I think Nebraska will win this game if we have Luke playing for much of it. In that case, I think we blow out Penn State 38-24. I think Penn State is able to get some points on us, but we are able to stop them. Maybe even we're able to drop them all the way down to 17 or 19 points, but I think they'll still get some on us. I think we'll make enough mistakes. Although our defense is really showing heart, they're really showing that they can actually play cohesively. This is the best Scott Frost defense we've seen, so maybe we even hold them to 17 points. I'm just predicting 38-24, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's less than that. So that's my 2 predictions. Depending on who starts, is the result I think will be different. But yeah, this is basically going to be the game for who is not last in the Big Ten. And with that being said, looking forward to listening and watching the game. Hope you guys enjoy the game. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. God bless. Go Big Red.